Whether admired or despised, Dexter Morgan consistently captivated audiences with his complex duality. However, throughout the series, several characters elicited significant frustration from viewers. In this video, we will examine the most disliked characters in Dexter, those who provoked irritation, disbelief, or outright disdain. Maria LaGuerta exemplified office politics at its most calculating. Her relentless ambition and willingness to manipulate colleagues for personal gain placed her at odds with both her peers and the audience. From her early days as a lieutenant, she prioritized her career above all else, often at the expense of others. Her rivalry with Deborah, for instance, felt less like professional competition and more like an ongoing power struggle rooted in jealousy. LaGuerta's ability to feign concern while secretly advancing her own agenda painted her as a deeply self-serving character. Her opportunism extended beyond professional ambition. She leveraged relationships to solidify her power, whether by aligning herself with influential figures or undermining perceived threats. As the series progressed, her suspicion of Dexter grew, creating palpable tension. While her pursuit of justice might have seemed noble on the surface, it was largely driven by ego and a desire to restore her tarnished reputation following the death of her ex-lover, James Dokes. For many viewers, her downfall was inevitable and perhaps even gratifying. Despite brief moments of vulnerability, particularly during her final season, her manipulative nature and consistent undermining of other characters secured her place as one of the most disliked figures in Dexter's universe. Louis Greene, the obsessive fan turned antagonist, introduced an unsettling dynamic to the narrative. Initially presented as a socially awkward but harmless tech expert, Louis's behavior took a darker turn as his fixation on Dexter deepened. His bizarre gesture of sending Dexter the ice truck killer's hand marked a significant escalation, revealing his disturbing fascination with serial killers and his desire to insert himself into Dexter's world. His pettiness was particularly grating. His vendetta against Dexter stemmed not from genuine malice, but from wounded pride. After Dexter dismissively rejected his video game concept, Louis became irrationally fixated on exacting revenge. This juvenile obsession, combined with his lack of self-awareness, made him an especially irritating presence. Despite his intelligence and technical acumen, Louis's actions were ultimately self-destructive. His arrogance blinded him to the dangers of antagonizing someone like Dexter. His eventual death at the hands of Isaac Serco served as a reminder of how dangerous unchecked ambition and misplaced arrogance can become. For audiences, Louis was not merely an annoyance, but a cautionary figure whose pettiness sealed his tragic fate. Hannah McKay, a character marked by charm and lethality, divided fan opinion. Introduced as a survivor of a traumatic past, her initial vulnerability made her somewhat sympathetic. Yet beneath her outward charm lay a cold, calculating nature. Her willingness to eliminate those who threatened her sense of safety through poison underscored her dangerous unpredictability. Her relationship with Dexter further blurred moral lines. While their connection was undeniably intense, it also raised troubling questions about whether Dexter was compromising his code by loving someone who killed for self-interest rather than necessity. Some viewers interpreted their bond as a manifestation of Dexter's desire for normalcy, while others viewed it as a toxic entanglement that ultimately led him further away from the structured control of his dark passenger. Hannah's ability to evade justice through manipulation was another point of contention. Despite being implicated in multiple murders, she repeatedly escaped accountability. Her calm, calculated demeanor contrasted sharply with the havoc she wrought in Dexter's life. For many fans, she represented a profound threat to Dexter's stability, making her one of the most controversial and polarizing figures in the series. Deborah Morgan's early character arc was characterized by impulsivity and emotional turbulence. While her loyalty to Dexter was unwavering, her abrasive personality often alienated both her colleagues and viewers. Her frequent profanity, erratic decisions, and tumultuous romantic entanglements tested audience patience. Despite her competence as a detective, her personal insecurities frequently undermined her professionalism. One of the most frustrating aspects of Deborah's early portrayal was her susceptibility to manipulation. Whether it was her ill-fated relationship with Rudy Cooper, the ice truck killer, or her entanglement with Agent Lundy, her personal life was a series of heartbreaks and poor choices. Viewers often viewed her emotional volatility as a weakness, especially in contrast to Dexter's calculated calm. However, as the series progressed, Deborah evolved into one of the most compelling and tragic figures in the Dexter universe. By the later seasons, her moral struggle and psychological unraveling added profound emotional weight to the narrative. Yet, despite this evolution, her early years remain a source of contention for many fans who found her impulsive nature exhausting. Lyla West, introduced in the second season, embodied chaos and manipulation. Initially portrayed as an unconventional artist and Dexter's sponsor in Narcotics Anonymous, her erratic behavior behavior quickly revealed a more dangerous side. Her fascination with Dexter's darkness fed her obsession, escalating to destructive extremes. Her actions were consistently self-serving and destructive, from manipulating Dexter into leaving Rita to committing arson and eventually murder. Lila demonstrated an alarming lack of moral boundaries. Her capacity for emotional manipulation and her unpredictability made her one of the most reviled characters. For many viewers, her death at Dexter's hands was a cathartic release. She was not just a dangerous antagonist, she was an embodiment of chaotic evil, driven by obsession and devoid of empathy. Dr. Evelyn Vogel, known as the mother of psychopaths, played a pivotal role in shaping Dexter's moral framework. Her clinical detachment and eerie fascination with psychopathy fostered discomfort from her very first appearance. Her manipulation of Dexter through her intellectual authority further solidified her as an unsettling figure. Despite her brilliance, Vogel's inability to foresee the consequences of her actions led to her tragic demise. Her ultimate failure lay in her emotional blindness to the danger posed by her psychopathic son, Daniel. For many viewers, her ambiguous morality and calculated detachment made her one of the show's most chilling figures. Joey Quinn remains a divisive figure throughout the series. Initially introduced as a competent detective, his professional judgment often became clouded by personal motives. His persistent scrutiny of Dexter, despite lacking concrete evidence, positioned him as an antagonist in the eyes of fans. Viewers perceived his investigation as a threat to Dexter's secret, creating tension and frustration. Furthermore, his tumultuous relationship with Deborah Morgan, marked by inconsistency and indecision, only amplified audience dissatisfaction. Their on-again, off-again dynamic felt repetitive and, at times, emotionally immature. Quinn's flirtation with corruption during his involvement with the Russian mob further damaged his credibility. His willingness to accept bribes and his entanglement with criminal elements undermined any sense of moral integrity. Even as he displayed moments of loyalty, such as his protection of Deborah and eventual defense of Dexter, these instances were overshadowed by his chronic poor decision-making. Despite being positioned as a potential moral foil to Dexter, Quinn's inability to maintain professional boundaries and his personal failings rendered him one of the show's most frustrating figures. Travis Marshall, also known as the Doomsday Killer, remains one of the most criticized antagonists in the Dexter series. Despite his potential as a chilling and complex villain, his portrayal fell short of audience expectations. His split personality, oscillating between a meek, submissive persona and a fanatical, violent zealot, felt inconsistent and at times overly contrived. His elaborate, religious-themed murders were disturbing, but his psychological depth was overshadowed by an underwhelming character arc. Furthermore, his inability to evolve beyond a simplistic archetype made his conflict with Dexter feel repetitive. For many fans, Travis stands as a missed opportunity for a truly compelling adversary, leaving a lasting impression of frustration rather than fear. Which character did you find most objectionable? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth analyses of your favorite television series.